This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. It is Friday, Emirates Cup Friday. Full slate of games here. We have, 11? I think we have on tap? 8 games on tap.
Nope. Absolutely not 11.
8 games on tap. I think FanDuel's got extra, right? Doesn't FanDuel have
9? One extra.
That's what it is here. All right, so we got 9 games on FanDuel, 8 games over on DraftKings. Emirates Cup, full slate, a lot of injury news, some interesting ownership that we kind of predicted. You did the playbook today. How are we feeling about things after our preview show here, Grande?
It's been a pretty slow day in terms of news. There hasn't been a lot that's come through the wire. There's been some sprinkles of news, specifically in Detroit, not seeing a couple players at shoot around this morning. And so we may or may not get news in that direction, but just kind of waiting for news, the next shoe to drop, because there's just kind of been slow. But yeah, it's a good slate overall. Fun slate. Ready to get into it.
Love it. Love it. I love you guys in chat as well, Warren. Hey, I'm a loser till I win the mini. Millie says, what's up?
Yeah, no, you're not. But you say this on our he changed his name too. That's not his name when he comments on the preview show.
No. Just Pharaoh says, what's up? Rolly says the goats are live. Nah, you're the goat, Rolly. You guys are all the goats for tuning in with us each and every day here. All right, let's get into it here. Again, a lot to talk about. Kind of from a salary perspective, we have 4 guys over $10,000. Luka, Giannis, Cade, Maxey. We'll see who suits up of that group here. Luka, Cade, and Maxey are at the point guard position. How are you kind of approaching this? Again, we looked at the ownership for last night. We kind of projected where we thought the slate would look to go. Value at the point guard position is a spot that is kind of the direction of the slate. Do you agree with that?
Yes. I don't you could definitely spend up, but I think it's basically spend all the way up or go to the value tier today. I don't have a lot of interest in like the middling point of point guard.
Yeah.
Like if you want to get to Luka, guess what, buddy? He's very good at basketball. He's averaging 35, 9, and 9. 65 DraftKings points per game. It's a cup game for a guy that has only averaged 37 minutes per game because 2 of the last 3 he's played in his blowout. Mm-hmm. In every competitive game this year, Luka Doncic has played 38 plus minutes. Every single one.
Seems healthy.
So you factor in the cup. Lakers, can't sleep on the inaugural champions here. Obviously, Luka was not part of that, but you have the cup plus the minutes. Cade is kind of what I was alluding to.
Okay.
There were pictures taken at shoot around this morning that did not have Cade Cunningham involved. And Jalen Duren was seen just going over stuff on the sidelines. And you know how they have like starters jerseys and stuff. Yeah. And they basically had the same starting 5 in the starters jerseys. Could that just be because it was shoot around? Sure. Typically an indication of what's to come, right? So we will see with Cade. As of right now, I'm operating as if he is in, but that is obviously a little worrisome when he's not seen it shoot around. If he plays, it's obviously a great spot. There's no Asar. There's no Tobias. He has a 5% usage bump without those guys, up to 37%, 1.65 fantasy points per minute. So yeah, of course, I'd love Cade if he plays. I just don't know if he does. So like Tyrese Maxey, we know there's no Embiid. It is a cup game. We're like, why did Tyrese Maxey's minutes just kind of fall off a cliff last game? It's not like he was bad. 44 fantasy points in 34 minutes, but I said it on the pre-show, one of his superpowers were the minutes. I do expect on a cup night that goes up and that trends back upwards, especially with McCain in the G League and possibly no VJ Edgecombe. So I'm okay with Maxey. I think, things get a lot more intriguing for Tyrese Maxey if Edgecombe ends up sitting, because that's a lot of guard depth to just no longer have. So I like any of those three. I think James Harden's a little bit sneaky tonight. 1.5 fantasy points per minute, massive usage rate without Kawhi and Bradley Beal on the floor this year. But yeah, you're basically, those four are in play, but I wouldn't say, I'm jamming. Usually when you have a 12K Luka or like an 11K Cade, you want a clear cut sub 4K value. And I don't think this today. There's obviously some very good options that are hovering right above 4K, but I don't think any of this is every one of them are obviously elite, and every one of them, I don't feel like the need to play,
Sure. So where do you go then? I mean, obviously you said you weren't really interested necessarily spending up your highest roster point guard, which we assumed was going to be Jalen Suggs. It is, right?
Yeah, he's the highest roster player of the slate.
Right. So does that knock off a Brandon Williams for you? Or if Cade is ruled out at Dennis Jenkins, are you just out on those players? You're just plugging in Jalen Suggs today?
So no on the Dennis Jenkins. I mean, Dennis Jenkins is absolutely in play if he's the starter, but I can't, as much as I think Cade has a live chance to sit, I'm not going to operate that way for now. I'm just going to assume Cade plays until we're told he's not. I don't like but as of it currently stands, yes, Jalen Suggs looks amazing. I mean, we commented on the minutes. He played 28 minutes the other day, and then he played 26 minutes. And if you go look, he lost out 2 minutes of garbage time this last game. So he was basically trending for the same amount of minutes again, 28, almost 29 minutes. I think Suggs looks amazing without Paolo. 24% usage, almost 1.2 DraftKings points per minute. Obviously, the spot against the Nets. This is obviously a cup game, so typically scores are run up a little bit more than usual. Typically, starters are left on the floor, even if there's a blowout. So a little less worried about blowouts on this, on this slate. Plus, we'll see if they blow the Nets out. I mean, I'm not saying they won't, because the Nets are horrible, but we'll see, right?
Sure.
So I think Jalen Suggs looks great. I do love Brandon Williams, and I wrote him up in the playbook. He's getting no ownership.
Yep.
Obviously, if we got the Derek, it was interesting because we got the Derek Lively in earlier today. We did not get the Anthony Davis news. We did not get the PJ Washington news. That all matters. I don't think Anthony Davis plays a ton. If he does, and PJ, we know, has a massive role, but just baseline Brandon Williams this year, nearly a 25% usage, over a fantasy point per minute. The minutes as a starter, he's trending up, obviously, over 30. We saw this last year when they played 8 guys every night. He is just a very offensive minded player. He's a better D-Lo, right? He's a better, more athletic D-Lo.
Right now he is, yeah.
So I think Brandon Williams is definitely, again, I said this the other day, is he getting, he's 1%, 2% owned. The minutes, this is where I
question maybe some of the data a little bit,
because I'm seeing minutes projected at 24. Why would Dallas, with the way that they've had production at point guard, including Williams, including Hardy, including D'Lo, he is clearly their best playmaker, right? Yep. And they have elected to go. Now, I guess if AD returns, we will see if they continue this lineup. But they already made a conscious decision to move Klay Thompson to the bench. So it just seems like they're going to go with the more traditional route where Cooper Flagg is not your point guard and he's playing alongside someone. So I think with or without AD, Williams is in play. I am very lukewarm on a 24-minute projection. I think it's much higher than that. Safely in the high 20s, possibly low 30s, like we've kind of seen, right? So yeah, I think Williams is a very interesting tournament play. Dennis Jenkins obviously had a monster role. So if there's no Cade Cunningham, he kind of just skips the line to become the best option here. Even though he's 6,100, I wouldn't be afraid to get there. It's a really good spot for Detroit. But those kind of point guards, Brandon Williams, Jalen Suggs, Dennis Jenkins, if Cade is ruled out, which again, wasn't seen at shoot around, are the headlines here. And then there's a couple names under 5K we could talk about too.
Yeah. So like, where do you go? I mean, Jeremiah Fears is someone that's getting some love here. Again, matchup against the Lakers. We know the usage and scoring potential he brings to the table. Do you prioritize him? Again, we're talking about pivoting in large field tournaments right now. For $300 more, you get a 1% Williams. If everything stays the same for Dallas, would you prefer to go Williams over Fears here and just save the ownership?
Possibly. I feel better about the minutes for Brandon Williams, at least more consistently. I don't mind Fears, but we've seen it. He, once again, it was a straight 48-minute split with Jose Alvarado. That is possible at all times, that it's an even split. And at Jeremiah Fears, not that he can't fill it up fast, but like you really do want him to maximize minutes. Like at that price, I think Miles McBride's safer than Fears. I think of the two, Fears has the upside, but I think McBride, it's a cup game. We know Miles McBride is multifaceted, like just very decent basketball player in a massive pace-up spot, right? Like the best pace-up spot you could possibly be in with how fast the Heat are playing this year. So presuming Miles Bride starts, I would go there over Fears. We just had an Anthony Black question, and we'll get to we just had a new member. We just had a member here, John.
Hell yeah.
Join the family. I'm a loser till I win the millie. Oh, we both clicked at the same time. Sorry. You guys could do that if you want. It's no pressure whatsoever. These shows aren't going anywhere, but like we appreciate it tremendously. Thank you very much. Amazing. Anthony Black is fine. They could go many different directions here. I think with their fifth starter, they could end up just starting Isaac. They did that in the second half the other day. He played 2 minutes in that shift and then immediately went to Tristan Da Silva. They could start Da Silva. They could start Anthony Black. Like they have a lot of different lineup combinations they can go to, because Franz is 6'10" playing small forward, and Anthony Black is 6'6" playing point guard, like guard, and Da Silva is 6'8". Like there's a lot of different iterations. I would prefer Anthony Black if he starts, but yeah, I'm fine with it. I think my problem is at $4,700, you could play Anthony Black, who's point guard, shooting guard. But then you could also, for $500 less, play Reed Shepherd at $4,200 in a big pace-up spot. And I looked at the Reed Shepherd role just to, just curious.
Sure.
Last 3 games, and like the minutes have obviously trended up. The last game before the blowout, so he plays 25 minutes. There was a blowout, obviously, loses out time. He was in the closing lineup ahead of Josh Okogie. The game prior, he played most of the fourth quarter and closed the first half over Josh Okogie. In the Spurs game 3 games ago, he closed the fourth quarter over Jabari. We are trending towards, as long as Reed Shepherd is going to play this way offensively, towards a guy that is going to be on the floor more and more. And his price, John, is still like kind of going down.
Yeah.
He scored 16, 16, 21 actual. He's gone over 28 fantasy points in 3 straight. And at last time he was out, he was 44. And now he's down to 42. Portland is playing incredibly fast this year. They're playing at the second fastest pace in the league. Houston's 28. That doesn't get any better. So I think that this is a legit Reed Shepherd spot. I do obviously understand like the trepidation because the minutes hadn't really been there before.
Right.
Like once they went to this Okogie starting lineup, his minutes just dropped, right? Like he played basically all the games in the teens, not really closing in blowouts either, which we figured he would. He's not. But it doesn't really matter because he's a dominant shooter around elite passers. Like the space, we talked about this with Kevin Durant. You think if Kevin Durant is open, what do you think Reed Shepherd's going to be? Like,
Yeah.
That's one of the best scorers of all time. Like you don't think Reed Shepherd's going to have a lot of good looks, and plus he's showing off. He is bad, like not good defensively, but he's very good. And this was like in his draft profile with he has very good hands, and you're starting to see that 2-1-4-2 steals. Like I think that's like a sustainable thing as well. So
yeah, we were all excited for him. You and I
Yes.
have some shares of him in best ball once the Fred VanVleet injury came through. So I'm down. I'm down to get some action there. Other ownership plays standing out to you. I know we kind of jumped through. Anything else you want to like talk about? I guess.
Are you asking me to pick a mid-tier play? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. I mean, like James Harden's getting 10%.
Yeah, I like James Harden. Yeah, he's good play.
Davion.
Very cash game play. I'll say here's what I'll give you in the mid tier.
Okay.
If Giannis sits, you play Ryan Rollins.
Yeah.
There you go. And then if Cade sits, you play Dennis Jenkins. There you go. There's your 2 mid tier options. It's a really good value spot and a really good spend up spot.
I agree. Shooting guard is where people are spending a little bit of money here. Anthony Edwards, 89. You and I said this on the show right away. We're like, under 9K Edwards just feels like an auto plug here. They just won this game by like 40 the other day. He had 30 minutes, 44 fantasy points, bookend by 250 plus fantasy point games against Utah. But it's the cup, so he might just play 35 minutes tonight because they need the point differential. They need the total points scored. As we replied to a commenter this morning about how the rules go for seeding. It's head-to-head record, then it's point differential and total points. So teams need to score. They won by 30. They'll need to win by more if they want to, give them some advantage in the seeding here. Edwards at 89 and then Reeves at 8K are your top 2 sort of spend ups at this position. And they're also the top 2, not counting McBride, for ownership here.
Yeah. I still think about the Celtics, Bulls, Missoula, Donovan opening year of the cup thing where Missoula pointed like, gotta score, buddy. Sorry. They're up like 50. It's like, sorry, gotta keep running it up.
Yeah.
Tatum's in a 50-point game, just running fast breaks.
Shooting threes,
Yeah, shooting threes. I think I made Ant the cover of the show. I almost doubled up, made him the cover of the playbook too. I didn't.
Sure.
The minutes are tremendous for Anthony Edwards in competitive games this year. Plus, I think the minutes could be that way for the cup tonight. He has been unbelievable offensively in every area. He's getting to the line. He's making all of his threes. He is just as good as playing as well as anyone is. So I think Ant is just significantly underpriced and underrepresented here. So he is by far and away, and I'm willing to. I think this is the worst position on the board for the record. So I'd be more than willing to just play Ant and move on. Obviously, we'll get to another. Even though I'm surprised he's not as shocky as he is, play in a few. I'm good with Reeves.
Okay.
I don't think it's like I need to get to Austin Reeves, but I get it. Like he's a good. He can coexist with Luka Doncic. That's fine. He's probably going to be like Luka and play upwards of 40 minutes in a cup game. So I have no issues with him. would I like prioritize him here? I guess is the question. He benefits from the point guard, shooting guard eligibility.
Yeah.
Like I would rather spend up on Ant if I'm playing him at shooting guard. I would rather just play Desmond Bane probably at less ownership for less dollars. I mean, for all the crap Desmond Bane got earlier in the year for how poorly he's played, don't you worry, I'm back, John.
Yep.
My demise was greatly exaggerated. And it's truthfully because Paolo's not on the floor. Like it doesn't really, it boils down to like that. He has a 25% usage and is over 1.1 fantasy points per minute without Paolo Banchero. I mean, against the worst defense in basketball, it's like shocking to see how many people are kind of, because the ownership wasn't this way. There was five Magic players earlier in the day, by the way, not named Franz Wagner, that were getting ownership.
Mm-hmm.
There's one. Nobody's getting ownership. Desmond Bane's projected ownership is criminal. Franz Wagner's projected ownership tonight, we're going to talk about. I almost
don't believe it.
We'll see. Obviously, there's things that are going to change, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how fast I can now. Like, I think it's hard to play both. Personally, I think like you want one or the other because you're also probably playing Suggs. So you know what? All you people, like John, the Bane impression is good. We've established this every time in, time out, clock in, clock out. The people like it. John doesn't, but John doesn't like fun. So that's what it is. You don't like fun. Fun. I'm saying it.
I like fun.
Okay, well, now that hurts my feelings. You just don't like my Bane impersonation.
First of all, I've never said I didn't like the Bane impression. I'm embarrassed for the group.
That's the same thing. You know what? We'll talk about this another time.
Kenny says we rock. No, you rock, Kenny.
I'm taking this to HR.
Okay, I'm right here. You're the man. Hey, almost took down last night, right?
Almost had a takedown, Cam the man. Salute to you, brother.
Yeah, we had a Jalen Johnson comment earlier from Steve. Yeah, dude. I mean, Grande's team OG #1 Jalen Johnson fan.
Dude,
so.
I could not be more on the camp. I was like front seat on the Jalen Johnson rocket ship.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he jumps, it looks like a rocket ship when he's jumping. You're probably right. Like me screaming about Orlando's ownership probably. Because like
I'm playing in my top 5 DFS video, I have Suggs and Wagner in there. Now, Suggs is obviously getting ownership.
Yes,
but
he's the only one.
That's it.
He's the only one getting ownership.
Yeah,
and like the cup game, there's obviously no guarantee that they play 40 minutes no matter what.
No,
but
we say that because like in theory, that's like the point differential does count, but like. If they're up 40, they might just be like, all right, this is good enough,
Yes,
and like,
yes. But obviously that could happen halfway through the fourth, and Franz has already played 35 minutes, and Desmond Bane's already played 35 minutes, right? Like if I am getting to Orlando, and I will be overweight on Orlando if the field doesn't catch up, and that's not including Jalen Suggs. The field is on Jalen Suggs. I'm just basically talking. All the ancillary pieces, like not the ancillary, because Bane is going to be a main character, and obviously Franz. But so
you gotta make Caleb Bridges comment.
Yeah, like
do you think Brunson being out is pulling more ownership on Knicks, and that's therefore taking ownership off of Orlando?
Yes, but and obviously like. It's weird because the Nets matchup is better because they're the worst defense in basketball and they can't stop
pace-up spot though for
but it's it's a insane pace-up spot for the Knicks, and it just this game figures to be more competitive, right? So people are looking at the competitiveness of the game, being like, well, I'd rather play the Knicks. The problem is, like, if you're comparing Bridges to like Bane, one of these players has a high usage rate and one doesn't, and one averages over a fantasy point per minute and one doesn't with their star out, right? I think Bridges is definitely in play. He's had a good ball handling role all year. He's been a good secondary playmaker, kind of like he was in Brooklyn this year compared to last year. That's obviously due to a different offense they're running this year with Mike Brown. But I'm not excited to play Mikal Bridges, but I acknowledge he's a 40-minute candidate, and I acknowledge that he's in a massive pace-up spot. So where would I rank him on my Knicks tiers? Like fourth in terms of priority. He'd be like the fourth Knick I'd get to, but that doesn't mean he's bad. He's a solid play, but I prefer Desmond Bane for $300 more.
Okay. Where do we go, I guess, from here? Because there's obviously plenty of other like interesting mid-tier guys in good spots. You said you felt like this was a bad position, but you know, we've played a lot of, and it's probably more bad because of pricing, but like you have Jaquez and Powell, you have Cooper Flag here, you know,
Trey
Murphy, Grimes potentially if Edgecombe is out. You know, if the Detroit guys are missing, there's obviously a whole slew of cheap Detroit plays against Philadelphia. Like, where do you look to go outside of sort of the Bane Edwards realm?
Yeah, in today's playbook that you guys can find at fantasyalarm.com, I wrote up Jaime Jaquez. You know, I'm not really worried about the one bad game. When you look at his numbers without Bam this year, over a 2% usage bump, 24% on the year, and almost 1.2 fantasy points per minute. There's obviously a massive ceiling. He's first or second on during this like stretch without Bam and potential rebounds and potential assists. Like, he's been awesome in basically every category. So I don't hate getting to Jaquez. The flag play obviously becomes incredibly interesting if like PJ Washington and AD sit, because he's just going to, him and Brandon Williams are just going to be asked to do everything. And Najee Marshall for that matter too. Like, they're just going to be asked to do everything. So I'm a little lukewarm on Cooper. Not that I don't think he could have a big game. That the Clippers have been dreadful defense. They're slow. They can't get back. They're giving up a lot of points in transition, but just like, sure. So if you go to Cooper, same thing with Murphy, like has a ceiling. Grimes would definitely become more interesting without Edgecombe, although the numbers look pretty bad sans Edgecombe and Embiid this year. I don't know what that actually means because it's such a small sample, but they do look bad. Shaedon has had a massive scoring ceiling, but even a game where Jeremy Grant gets ejected after 6 minutes, he only plays 30 minutes. Like, I know he's been incredibly efficient. I said to you, I think the stat is he's made something like 30 consecutive shots in the restricted area, which is insane. But yeah, you can definitely play Shaedon in tournaments. Obviously become a little more interested in someone like Karis LeVert if we basically get the same scenario for Detroit again, if Cade and Duren are ruled out. It's actually good to see LeVert's minutes trending that direction, right? Like, maybe we can get 24 tonight. He is a very good player. The only problem is he was super efficient last game. We know the efficiency isn't always Karis LeVert's middle name. So good with it. Not, like, kind of indifferent there. Same thing with like Duncan Robinson and Javonte Green. They're priced appropriately. If Detroit is down a bunch of people, like, I would just be more excited to play B-Ball, Paul, and Jenkins because their roles last game, not necessarily like everything else, but you could definitely get there.
And then you just have guys who we talked about at point guard, obviously, with the dual eligibility, and McBride and Shepard and things like that here that take up ownership. Cole Anthony is getting some ownership love as well at 4K. So, you know, plenty of value.
And Clarkson, and we didn't mention Clarkson. He will. It's a very wide range of outcome play for Jordan Clarkson because the minutes haven't been in his corner.
If he somehow ended up if he told me he was gonna play 25 minutes though, he'd be like in all my lineups, I think. So
yeah, if he plays 25 minutes in this pace up spot, for sure. It's just hard to predict. But like that's kind of what the field's doing with Cole Anthony. So
Yeah.
like at lower ownership, you could just do that, but with Jordan Clarkson. Like the minutes have obviously been better for Anthony, but
I kind of wonder why Clarkson isn't playing more. I mean, given sort of his pedigree of, being
they haven't needed it.
guy.
They haven't needed the offense. Like they've been so good with like just what they're doing.
Sure.
But no Jalen Brunson. Maybe that changes tonight.
Maybe it does. All right, small forward here. Again, so OG's getting a little bit more than he was, I think, earlier. He's up to 15% now. Or not OG, sorry. Wagner's getting a little bit more than he was earlier. OG is getting over 20%. Sadiq Bey is currently your small forward leader in ownership here. But we were high on Wagner all day. Even 15% feels too low.
Dude, he was 10,000. Granted, there was no Desmond Bane last year. So, like, that's obviously a factor here. He was $10,000 during that stretch that Paolo Banchero missed with the oblique. Like, he's 85. He's not even 8,000 over on FanDuel. Like, it's a sick play. Since last year, John. Okay, so dating back to the beginning of last year, a 1,100 minute sample without Paolo, Franz Wagner has a 34% usage rate. Franz Wagner is over 1.3 fantasy points per minute. He's played 36 minutes or more in every game.
Yeah.
Recently. And now you're like, I am
Brooklyn. How is this not clicking for people? Like I
am shocked that people aren't gravitating towards Franz because his ability to stuff the stat sheet, because he's facing the 30th ranked defense in the NBA, because it's the Cup and he's playing monster minutes anyway. Like there's just like if the owner, I've already built today. And I obviously built earlier when his ownership was even a little lower.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a challenging thing to play him plus two other mid-tier like players that are priced around him. Or one of Franz plus like an actual spend up. Like it's not overly challenging to do. I am very convicted on playing Wagner today, because we have an 1,100 minute sample of him being an absolute maniac. Dude, 34% usage is like you'll be in the top 10 in that category.
Sure.
For a year plus sample. Like it, and again, there was no Desmond Bane last year. Guess what? It's 31% and almost 1.3 fantasy points this year. So it's not like it's changed all that much. It's still super elite stuff. So I am definitely playing Franz Wagner, and as much as I can, given the ownership and given the play and the matchup and just everything encompassing Franz tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right. You have KD at 82, MPJ 78, can play Jaquez here. Again, OG is getting ownership at $6,900 in that spot. Once you get past Franz, where are you kind of looking here?
I mean, you could definitely play MPJ in tournaments. We know that he's the only player with a usage rate higher than 21 without Cam Thomas on the floor. It's at 30 plus. So you can play Michael Porter. OG is probably, I said it on the show. I even wrote it in the playbook with OG. Like actually I didn't write it in the playbook. I was going to, but I didn't. Like, it was always kind of an ownership thing for me. I don't hate. He's one of the two guys that get massive rate increases with Jalen Brunson off the floor. It's him and Karl Anthony Towns. OG Anunoby gets a 5% usage bump up to 25%, is averaging over a fantasy point per minute. It's a pace-up spot. He's a guy we know is a warrior. He's going to play probably close to, if not over 40 minutes tonight. So it's hard for me to dislike OG. It's hard for me to discount the spot that he's in. Again, Miami, for those that don't know, are playing at the fastest pace in the NBA. by over two possessions faster than any other team in the league. Like it's not even close. And so like I like OG. He's been working like he would be probably the second Nick I would get to, but he's also very high. He's very highly rostered for a guy who isn't always offensive minded first, right? Like I know he can be, and we've seen some monster
huge games out of him.
We've seen some monster games, and he can be a really good mid-range player. He could be really good on the offensive glass. He could be really good corner three guy.
The defensive stats that kind of put him over the top sometimes. Like he'll come out of there with like 22, 3 and 4, but 5 steals, and all of a sudden he's got 50 fantasy points.
Yeah, I and obviously we assume the offense is going to tick up just without Brunson. So like, I am definitely good getting to OG. I'm a little lower on OG than the field is, as he's the second highest rostered small forward. I've already, obviously, you and I have both like staked our claim on why, because there's a guy that's a little more expensive that we're playing, but I'm definitely fine if you end up with like a $6,900 OG. That's nice.
Agreed. Anthony wants to know if Wagner's the top play over Towns or Durant for you. Obviously over Durant at the same position. Where would you rank him versus Towns though on this slate?
Ooh, that's tough.
It is. Towns has I think it's 1.5 fantasy points per minute without Brunson.
Yeah, it's round up a little bit. It's 5.8. So I rounded up, I think, in the playbook and put 1.6.
Okay.
Just to
very few people get to that number.
Yes.
So
yes. It's probably Towns. I mean,
why do you have to pick? I guess they're two different positions they're in.
Yeah, and also you can easily play them both. That's kind of what I was alluding to with Franz. Like you can easily play two of them and like build around the rest of your lineup. If you're making me choose, I mean, Towns ownership has come down a lot. I would probably go Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay.
But I'm also pretty convicted. It's like 1A, 1B. I'll go Towns, but I don't want to pick because I'm not.
Keith in the chat doing the same thing. Equal to Towns, better than Durant. Yeah, we would have Towns and Wagner ahead of Durant tonight.
Yeah, it's a 1A, 1B situation where I don't think it matters necessarily.
And then McBride or Shamet. This is McBride.
It's McBride. The only thing I'd say is obviously Shamet has the better eligibility. We also probably assume Shamet plays a pretty big role here because that's just kind of what Mike Brown. See, like Mike Brown's playing Shamet over Clarkson, right? Like that's been kind of the wing that
we talked about it, right? Like they play Shamet because he's decent defensively, you know,
and he spaces way better than Clark. He spaces way better than Clarkson. I would go McBride is safer, but if you need salary, they're pretty different. Shamet's under 4K.
If we just kind of work our way down the list from there, where do you look to go? There's Oubre, McDaniels, Hart. Obviously some Detroit plays here. Najee Marshall if Dallas is missing pieces. Like what do we think?
After OG, I mean Oubre is a little bit interesting. I think Anthony had asked about Edgecombe. We don't know yet. He's still listed questionable. I think Oubre would become a little bit more interesting if Edgecombe sat. The minutes not trending. Another like Sixer that's been playing monster minutes that just like randomly got dinged last game. So I would play Oubre if there's no Edgecombe. I don't love this tier necessarily. Like Najee Marshall is only in play, I think, if like all those guys are out. We know how good Najee is, secondary ball handler stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Herb's gonna play big minutes. Dude, I wrote this in the playbook. Sadiq, y'all, like, not y'all, but this implies to me too. Like, y'all must have forgot kind of type vibe with Sadiq. Like, he's a very solid NBA player. Without Zion and Jordan Poole this year, he's a fantasy point per minute player. Been at a fantasy point per minute, 21% usage. No real reason to think he doesn't start and play 30 plus minutes. I mean, you even look at some of these games, including the Phoenix game, where they were getting trounced and all the starters still played 30 minutes. Like Willie Green's trying to save his job. It's not just he's like, it's the Willie Green. Well, that's fair. Well, that's fair. But like, well, there's only 30 jobs. So he probably does want to have the job. He probably is like, if I get fired, I get fired. But like, you would hope like Sadiq has been really good.
Byron wants to know Justin Edwards, who went nuclear shooting threes last game.
I would say it's very hard to trust. You would feel better about it if Edgecombe's out because there's no McCain as well. McCain's in the G League plus no Edgecombe. I think if Edgecombe plays, I probably ignore it unless we like got a Philly starting lineup and he was starting. And that would probably be like the one scenario that I would even consider it. We had a question earlier about Nick Clifford.
I was going to say, we had a Nick Clifford comment.
It's really hard to want to play anything Sacramento. We said this from the jump, right? Like, and I don't even think like Reed Shepherd's ownership is not a concern tonight. It's currently projected in the low teens. I wouldn't pivot away from Reed Shepherd based on ownership because of like low teens to go to anyone on this dysfunctional franchise. This is the most dysfunctional franchise possibly in the NBA. I understand Neek played 31 minutes last game, but it was an absolute blowout. And could it be that again? Yes, but Zach LaVine was out last game. Like, there's just a lot that says no, and I'm probably just gonna not go there. If you want to play Neek, because that's what like all that screaming and yelling from Doug Christie led you to believe, because Doug Christie was screaming, kicking and screaming about like people playing defense and whatnot, and all the haters, and he knows blah blah blah, like all this stuff. Sure, but I just don't feel very confident in it. What I would say, like, if Dallas is without everyone, Klay Thompson's probably back in our lives, which I don't love, but
what about Tristan Da Silva?
Yeah, I think he's one of the candidates to start. I would feel better if he started. I'll say that.
Well, let me ask you why you feel better if he started, because his role in general has been mid-20s minutes, and he's been pretty good.
I think that there are better plays in this range of guys that are like going to play more minutes.
Okay.
If he doesn't start, I'm not saying he's a bad play. I think he's a solid play. He's just like not a priority of mine unless he's in the starting lineup.
Okay. Power forward. A lot of big names, a lot of questions. You have Giannis at 11.7, AD 98. We have Towns at 94. We've kind of established Towns is in a pretty elite spot here from a anti or no Brunson situation going on there. Giannis is probable though, right? So would you rather take your shot at 11.7 Giannis or a 9.4 Towns?
Nobody loves the cup more. We know that. Giannis loves the cup.
I played 37 minutes in the cup game.
Loves the cup. Absolutely loves it. I would still rather play Towns, I think. Not that I think Giannis couldn't score 100 fantasy points tonight, and you'd be like, yeah, sure.
Did Charlotte even, the primo matchup here?
Yeah. I am like, and maybe I shouldn't, and maybe I'm just going to, be dumb and say this again, but like 36 minutes in 3 straight games and then has to sit because of the knee. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, right? Like he's having to shoulder that big of a load and then he can't. And they were clearly trying to like limit his minutes in pockets earlier, like 32, 33. Again, not saying he can't dominate at that minute range, but I think Karl-Anthony Towns plays like 40 minutes tonight. So if you're telling me Karl-Anthony Towns has 40-minute upside at 1.6 fantasy points per minute, well, yeah, I think that you could get somewhat similar production to Giannis for over $2,000 cheaper. So like Towns looks as good as any spend up on the slate. Like you can put him in the same tier as all the other guys at the top of the list. And
when we built our preview show lineup, we're like, oh man, we don't have any of like the top spend up guys. Like, well, technically, if there was no Brownson, Towns would be an $11,000 or 10-5 play. You know, like
I mean that is like a mid like
yeah.
Is his price different than Tyrese Maxey if like Brunson's misses an extended?
We've already gotten a 60 fantasy point game in 30 minutes out of him this season. So
yeah,
and I agree. Towns for me is the guy I'd be looking to go to here. Not to say Giannis can't go for 80, certainly can. You're just saving $2,300 to go play Towns instead. What about working your way down? Denny, Bridges, Randall, in that next group there.
I mean, I think there's probably you're probably just looking at Julius Randle of this tier if you're looking at anyone. The numbers aren't like far off from Anthony Edwards this year. 28% usage for Randle. He's obviously been a nightly triple-double, and we knew he was this guy in New York when he was the star, right? He was an elite playmaker at the forward spot. He's a good ball handler. He's very good isolation. He's very good in pick and roll, pick and pop, like very skilled player. 1.4 fantasy points per minute. Anthony Edwards is like 1.44. He's right on his tail. Another Timberwolf that's just too cheap for like the role in the matchup. Kings are 27th in defensive rating. They're also top 7 in pace. Like it's a dream spot for Randall and just Sacramento. Like I'd like almost say like Luka and Giannis and Cade are probably the 3 guys I would bet. If I were to bet a triple-double, those would probably be the top 3.
Yeah.
Like my sneaky triple-double picks would be Franz and Julius Randle. Julius Randle's role, ball handling, has been so elite.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Randle's probably the guy at 8,300. So, and if you're like looking, you're like, I need to play Timberwolf tonight. The spot is too good. Man, Ansik like really highly rostered. Well, Randle is a slightly lower, not slightly, like lower owned guy that you could pivot to.
Yeah. From there, in terms of ownership, you see Jabari Smith at $5K. You see Derek Queen at $4,900. We talked Bay already. So this little range right here is kind of where the field's going next.
Yeah, we'll save Queen for last because we'll talk about him in a second. I think it's fascinating tonight with Derek Queen. You started with Jabari. The price is obviously appealing. Still not, great per minute, but he plays a lot of minutes. So, like, at the price, you don't need him to be a fantasy point per minute guy. You need him to continue to be like the mid 8.8s fantasy point per minute player because he's going to play mid 30s in competitive game, possibly 40s. I think Naz Reid is incredibly interesting in tournaments. The minutes have trended up for Naz Reid as well, which is something I was kind of down on for Naz Reid earlier in the year. But they're ticking back up. Super elite spot. I mean, just as good as it's going to get in pace and defensive matchup combinations. 27th in defense, 7th in pace for the Kings. And then you get to Derek Queen. As Mr. TD said, we're saving the Queen here. So earlier today, he was getting no ownership. And I was like, okay. And then I remembered, so 2 games ago, Yves Missi DMPs, right? Straight DMPs, healthy DMPs. Last game, Yves Missi comes back and he plays 2 minutes and he gets into a fight with Jeremy Grant and he gets ejected. So that tells me, and he was the sub in for Derek Queen. So that tells me they're doing that weird stuff again with the rotation, right?
Yeah.
Like where they started Looney, he barely played, but then they went to Queen and then they went to Missi, which is what they did. If you remember, they did when Queen was the third center, when he played that second quarter, gets into foul trouble, and then plays the whole fourth. So it's a fascinating spot because like Queen's coming off obviously 38 minutes, but I'm not sure if Missi's in the rotation that it's anywhere close to that. And I'm not saying he can't be. He's more than likely staying in this 25 as a base number. Like that's the basement number.
Sure.
But like, I don't know if 38 is in the cards if Yves Missi is back in the rotation. If Yves Missi isn't, then yes, there's obviously massive appeal. And now Derek Queen is like the best sub 5K play of the slate, basically. Like there's nobody on the slate that does as much as he does. Fantasy points per minute, usage rate. I mean, the numbers are elite. 25% usage, almost 1.2 fantasy points per minute. It's just whether you believe Missi plays or not, basically. Because if Yves Missi plays, well, now are we talking high 20s minutes? If Yves Missi's DMP, well, hello 40 minutes, Derek Queen.
Sure.
You are in every winning lineup tonight. So I'm largely in the camp like Missi's not an X factor here, but I would just mention that he did enter the game in the second quarter the other day, and that could cut into some Derek Queen's time. But I would still, he's still a good play. Just wanted to throw that like little caveat in there.
Sure. All right, center. Again, Şengün is someone that I would love to get to. I think it's a really great spot at $9,500. Sabonis, Duran. I really like Zubac at 71. Where do you look to go at the center position today?
Yeah, I mean, I want to play Jalen Duran if Jalen Duran's active.
Sure.
We just don't know if Jalen Duran's active. So, Christian Brown, 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah, not great.
It's brutal. Tim Hardaway's living his best life. Let me tell you, he is having the best time of his life out there. It's only going to get better for THJ moving forward. I think Zubats is probably the next name I'd go if we're just going down the list here. Like Şengün, obvious triple-double candidate. Sabonis just not the spot. But yeah, Duran, Zubats. Zubats has, hasn't been as good as he was last year. Still has been very good. Still over a 1.1 fantasy points per minute. Low 20s usage rate. Still obviously elite pick and roll offense with James Harden. Still very solid post-game offense, that he's developed throughout the years. And obviously good defender. So yeah, Zubats looks very good in this spot. Dallas is a terrible rebounding team this year, which, defense wins championships, rebounds wins championships. That guy is no longer here. Probably doesn't help that his team is 25th in rebounding. Should get better, obviously, with Derek Lively and eventually AD. But yeah, I think Zubats looks good. Khalil Ware is getting some ownership. You could definitely play him in tournaments. He obviously super high ceiling guy. Rudy Gobert is another guy that was getting a bunch of ownership earlier today. It's come down. I have no real objection to Rudy Gobert. I think he's going to play mid-30s minutes, and we know the scoring fluctuates because he's not good on that end, but there are times where he's just dominant on the offensive glass and getting lobs and stuff. And that obviously is when he has his ceiling games. None of it would matter if B-Ball Paul is your starting center again. There's obviously a lot to happen because we don't know if Stewart's playing. We don't know if Duran's playing. We don't know anything about Detroit at the current moment. Because if Stewart has the center room to himself, well, he looks really good. If B-Ball Paul has the center room to himself, he looks really good. And if Stewart's out and Duran starts, well, hell, I'm going to Duran. So there's a lot of intrigue in Detroit. All three centers, $5,600 or more. You can obviously go to Drummond. He feels very safe right now. 33 and 35 minutes in his last two starts. He is clearly, dominate. We theorize, they could go small against Boston because nope, didn't matter. Drummond played 33 minutes. Bona played the other 15. They just completely split the 48. Going to happen again tonight where Drummond is just going to split the center minutes with Bona. And I think Wendell Carter Jr. is kind of the forgotten man here. Wrote him up in the playbook today. Like, is he at the top of my wish list? Nope, he's not. But he's got the 30th ranked defense in the NBA. Brooklyn is a bad rebounding team. Claxton is like what he is defensively. Wendell Carter's been just a smidge below 1 fantasy point per minute this year without Paolo. 20% usage is really solid. Obviously, he's a floor spacer as well. Hasn't relied as much on the 3 lately, but can do it. So I think Wendell's probably going to just be the forgotten man in this tier. And then, obviously everyone's just playing Musa, which
It's a good play.
Dude, I was looking at his rebounding opportunities. He leads the team this year, and he doesn't start.
Yeah.
He plays 21 minutes per game, and he averages nearly 16 rebound opportunities per game, more than Ryan Kalkbrenner, the starter, more than Bridges, more than everyone. I mean, he just has a good baseline of fantasy production because he rebounds and he's a hustle player and he's always involved in the defensive stats. And he's also playing with a very good point guard tonight in LaMelo Ball, who is a more than willing passer. So, I don't think there's a lot to dislike. Milwaukee I was actually surprised at this. Do you know where Milwaukee rates rebounding this year?
I don't.
29th.
Okay.
Only Brooklyn is a worse rebounding team than
Again,
the
they gotta. You think about it. They take Miles Turner, not a great rebounder.
No, awful 7-footing rebounder.
Right. So I guess I'm not too surprised.
But they have Giannis.
But that's it.
Kuzma.
Right? They don't have anybody else going for boards.
Kuzma? No Kyle Kuzma love. My favorite player.
Portis a little bit when he's on the floor.
Yeah, Portis. I was just a little surprised. Doesn't hurt the Musa Diabate hustle around, grab 25 rebound take tonight. He's going to be a maniac.
Okay. Lineup.
We had the Warren comment about Goga. I don't hate Goga tonight. He's pretty good per minute, and he plays in blowouts, so I would be okay with getting some Goga.
Okay.
If they do in fact pull their starters, that's the key. Which teams respect the cup?
It's a great question.
I know the Bucks do. I can tell you that the Bucks love the cup.
They do. Just a very chalky core, or not chalky actually, because we have
Franzito
there. So that's 5,700. Suggs, Wagner, Towns, Diabate.
Yeah, I mean, DQ Blizzard in here. I'm more on the side that Queen's gonna just play because, again, they kind of just need Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, game time decision.
Of course.
The most useful status updates.
Yeah. So shooting guard, and util left. We'll put the full lineup in the Discord for all of you. Appreciate you tuning in each and every day. You're gonna hit that like, share, subscribe button, free to do if you guys decide you want to join the Fantasy Alarm family. Right now, perfect time to do so. FantasyAlarm.com/YouTube, promo code YT50, 50% off that first month. You have the scroll on the bottom of the show. Scroll at the bottom, all show, 50% off for that first month. All pro means all access, all DFS betting, seasonal content for all sports. Just $19.99 for that first month. You can cancel at any time. You can scan that QR code right there on the screen or go to FantasyAlarm.com/YouTube to apply the promo code and take advantage of our 50% offer right now. Let's see.
Don, I got a Miles McBride was seen with a starter's jersey on at shoot around this morning.
All right. Warren, where is Ant maybe in the lineup that goes in the Discord? Hint.
I don't.
He might be in there, but you got to go join the Discord to find the full lineup. Maybe he's there. Maybe he's there with McBride, like Phoenix says. Maybe he's there. Brands, Wendell, Suggs, McBride. Is 3 Magic too many? I don't think 3 Magic are too many.
I would probably be okay playing it like that. I don't know if I do like Franz Bane Suggs or
Too
like
many guys doing the same shots.
Yeah, I think like you kind of have to make a stand on the Franz and Bane front, and then you could probably do it because it's the Cup and it's Brooklyn. And would it be surprising if Franz has 50, Bane has 40, Suggs has like 30? Like, no, it wouldn't. But
nope. I mean, they do that anyways with Banchero.
They do that with Paolo. Yeah, so
that makes sense. All right, guys. Again, get in that Discord. Grind and I will be back for Sunday night with the Monday